Good morning. Wanted to share some information and read. I have to say, I'm not an expert in anything. I'm not trying to convince you or change your mind. This is just some food for thought. Food is life's fuel, whether physical or mental. Feeding the body, feeding the mind the correct food to better yourself in this life and in the next. So feed the correct food to your body and mind is essential. Imagine a pyramid, and when you decide to better yourself, you will land in one of the sides of the pyramid. It doesn't matter where, closest to the bottom or closest to the middle, or I doubt you will fall closest to the top, but what matters is that you better yourself, and every time you try, you will go up in the pyramid. It's just a, analogy. Our ancestors have left many texts behind. I suspect it was the apprentices who took notes, and that's what we have access to, because the experts, they weren't fond of writing things. Why? Because it reduced already what was language. Language is very reductive, is very it's a very difficult medium to describe the undescribable. Yes, to talk about the absolute and all of those things. Language is very reductionist already, so writing it down, it would be worse. So an expert who would face to face pass the knowledge and wisdom, and then he could see if the student understood or not. A text, sometimes it can become misunderstood, mistranslated, etc. It can become doctorate, So I suppose it was the apprentices who wrote things down. Our ancestors was not trying to be mysterious or confuse us or be poetic. They were trying to describe the undescribable using language, I'm going to read a little bit. It's about the ether. This is a very, very old postulation of the universe. There's only been two, according to I've came across. There's only been two postulations. One is the ether, and the other is the particle world. Anyway, that name and form, originally unmanifested, took the name and form of the ether as they were manifested from that self. This element called the ether thus arose out of the Supreme Self, like the dirt called foam coming out of transparent water. Foam is neither water nor absolutely different from it, for it is never seen apart from water, but water is clear and different from the foam, which is of the nature of dirt. Similarly, the Supreme Self, which is pure and transparent, is different from name and form, which stand for foam. These, corresponding to the foam having originally been unmanifested, took the name and form of the ether, and they were manifested. Name and form, as they became still grosser in the course of manifestation, assumed the form of air, From that again they became fire, from that water, and thence earth. In this order, the preceding elements penetrating the succeeding ones, and the five gross elements, ending with earth, came into existence. Earth, therefore, possesses the qualities of all five gross elements. From earth, compounded of all the five great elements, herbs such as paddy and barley are produced. From these, after they are eaten, are formed blood and the seed of woman and man, respectively. These two ingredients, drawn out as by a churning rod, by lust, springing from ignorance, and sanctified by mantras, are placed in the womb at the proper time. Through the infiltration of the sustaining fluids of the mother's body, it develops into an embryo as is delivered at the ninth or tenth birth. Oh, I'm sorry, of ninth or 10th month. Now, on another book, let's call ether God, or the absolute, or the monad, or the soul, whatever you want to call it. It has many names. These are just spiritual appellations. In this text, God divides himself indefinitely to fill these worlds, with only a part of himself, as it were. A part, as it were, because the Spirit remains a total presence, undivided in divided beings. No part of what is divine is cut off or separated, but only extends itself. So life, this life that we are experiencing, is just by participating. It's just by participation, yes? Because the Spirit is not cut off at all. It only extends itself, it borrows itself, yes? So being and becoming is by participation. The same thing, you would say, focus on things that are forever, things that don't have an expiration date, things that don't have a beginning in time and space, or place, or book, or person. Focus in things who don't have an expiration date, like beauty, love, what else? Justice, I would say, to the truth. Those things don't have an expiration date. They are always, unchangeable. So that is analogous to the one, or to the self with a big S. And you are beautiful because you participate in beauty. Life is the way it is because it participates in the infinite, in the absolute. It's just by participation. It's a different point of view. When it says lust springing from ignorance, lust is what gives birth to, desire is what gives birth to lust, and that's what makes us do the sacrifice. The sacrifice is what it's called, the lust springing from ignorance. Ignorance is false identification, when we are clinging to things that are not the self, like lust. We are clinging to those things, and we identify with that which is not the self. So lust springs from ignorance and sanctified by mantras and placed in the womb at the proper time. This is what we call sacrifice in metaphysics. Yes, that's the only sacrifice in metaphysics. It is when desire, lust, that springs from false identification. You are identifying with that which is not the self, and it just gives birth to this perpetual uh, becoming, the perpetual embodiment, and blah blah blah, the fluids infiltration of the mothers, blah blah blah. That's the embodiment, etc. So this is the doctrine of emanationism. It stands between the atheists and between the creationists. Basically, everything is an emanation from the one. All right. Okay. Have a nice day.